Okay, this is a quick screencast that's going to talk about your Odyssey test for Friday, the 11th. Okay, so first off, there are several sections that you will have. There are actually four different sections. The first section will be characterization. You're going to need to know each of the following characters: Odysseus, Circe, the Charybdis, Polyphemus, who is the name, that's the name of the Cyclops, Scylla, Antinous, who was one of the suitors, Telemachus, Penelope, and Eumaeus, who is the swineherd. And there's three types of questions that I usually ask in the characterization. Uh, the first one is that I give you a quote that the character says. You should be able to identify the character as, oh, that's something that Odysseus said. That's something that Penelope said. Or I'll give you a quote from the text that's a description, and you should say, oh, that's Circe, or that's Polyphemus, or that's Odysseus. The last one, which I think is the most enjoyable, is that I will drop some of these characters, three questions in all. So three of these characters will be dropped into a specific high school situation. So I might say Odysseus is in the high school lunchroom and someone steals his lunch. Which of the following is he most likely to do? And then you would have to tell me that he would do B because it makes the most sense. These are all analogous to situations in the text. So if I say, if I put Penelope in a situation or whatnot, Circe, Scylla, Charybdis in the situation in the high school, what they would do is going to be reflected upon by what they've done in the text, how they've reacted to a similar situation. So you've got to look for those analogies, those analogous situations in answering those questions. Students will also need to answer comprehension questions based upon reading quotes from the poem. So I will give you actually a cold read that you have never read before from the poem, and you will have to answer 10 questions using those annotating skills as far as questioning, connecting, predicting, clarifying, all of those things that you've done as you've read. You're going to do those as you read this text and then answer questions on that. There's uh, some practice for you that you will do online. Vocabulary, fill in the blank, and analogies. And after I get done talking about this, I'll give you an example of analogy type questions. And then lastly, there will be an essay question. Each one of these sections is worth 50 points. So the test is worth 200 points, about 25% of your semester grade as of now. But you will analyze one epic simile. I'll give you three, and you will have to look at those three and choose one, and then in complete sentences tell me what the epic simile is comparing, and then what is the effect of the epic simile? How does it get the message across? What is it saying about the thing that is initially being compared to the other thing? We talked about how when they drove the pike into the Cyclops' eye and they compared it to a shipwright who drills holes in the planks, and how vicious and powerful that is as they turned the pike, and just like a shipwright turns a drilling that pike into the Cyclops' eye in a very disgusting and grotesque way. So those are the four types of questions that will be on the test. All right, so this is a quick overview now of the analogies portion of the test, which is going to be on the vocabulary side. So I want you to pay attention to how these analogies are structured because you're going to do some practice with this, but you're also going to have several of these on the test to show your understanding of the vocabulary words.
So here are some examples. The first one is reveal is to conceal, as repair is to fix, to break, to hide, and to show. And since reveal and conceal are opposites, the opposite of repair is break, so that would be the correct answer in that analogy relationship. Leg is to knee, as arm is to shoulder, to elbow, to hand, and to reach. And since the knee is a joint in the leg, elbow is a joint in the arm, and that would be has the same relationship to arm as knee has to leg. Our next example, mammal is to mouse, as blank is to snake, so we're looking for the group in which the snake is a part of, and that of course would be reptile. Driver is to vehicle, as photographer is to picture, to pictures, to camera, and to artist. And since a driver uses a vehicle, a photographer uses a camera. Is the relationship there? Another example, popular is to popularity, as kind is to kindness, kindly, type, or mean. Popular is an adjective, popularity is the noun. So if we go kind adjective to kindness noun, we talked about noun endings the other day, so that should make total sense. Desert is to oasis, as ocean is to sea, to water, to sand, or to island. An oasis is in the middle of a desert, and an island is in the middle of the ocean, and they are kind of opposites of one another in many ways. Last examples, thermometer is to blank, as scale is to weight. Scale is used to measure weight, and a thermometer is used to measure temperature. So there's that relationship. And bird is to feathers, as fish is to anyone? Scales. That is correct. So those are those relationships.
All right. So now if you could open up your laptops, please go to Blackboard. Make sure that you have gone to the announcements page on Blackboard and go to the announcements for this week, November 7th through the 11th. And once you get there, you'll see on Tuesday there are some links of things to download, and I'm about ready to talk about those. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about the review material for you for the test. One thing you're going to have is, of course, if you go to Blackboard, you'll see that there's material that you can use. It's worth extra credit if it's done, turned in, fully done by the time you walk into class on Thursday. You'll look at the vocabulary review and you'll see this. It is some information filling in the blank for these questions. Which one of these words, each one of these words goes into one of these sentences. So you would just put the letter right in front of the sentence here. And there's also some analogies, and you have to figure out the analogy. We've already looked at the analogies because I just gave you a tutorial on that. But look at that and fill in the correct letter that finishes the analogy. All right. Now, we also have epic simile test practice. And you have epic simile questions. There are 3 epic similes here. And you need to read each one, and then in the lines underneath, in complete sentences, pretending that this is a test, tell me what is being compared in each epic simile. So what are the 2 things? And then what's the overall effect or meaning of this comparison? And you should probably be able to do that with a beginning, a middle, and end using evidence from the text itself, probably in 3 to 4 to 5 sentences, hopefully. If you can do that. And then lastly, you have these comprehension questions. You have text that I've given you to read, and it is actually book 23. So you'll read that, and as you're reading that, you have 13 comprehension questions that you will need to answer as best you can, going through, reading the text, and then answering these questions. Remember that you only want to print out the vocabulary review, the epic simile review, and the comprehension questions to turn in. Do not print out the practice test text itself because it's too long, and you can just download that onto your computer.